I want to get your individual thoughts on the place of youth in campaigns before we take a very short break. Is it because of the youthful energy that Lydia is talking about and, you know, the availability because of the unemployment as well, quote unquote? Or is it an attempt by the politicians to endear themselves to the youth?
I think, Lillian, the youth population, especially those who have actually accessed the voter identity cards or the voter registration cards, are said to be about, I think, 70% of the total registered persons. And that tells you that the kind of population or the kind of constituent population that you are now targeting. I think the whole purpose or the reason as to why the youth as a population is really crucial in the coming election, you know, our politics is about numbers. For you to win the elections, it's about 1 + 1 + 1. And I think you look at the biggest population, where is it? That is between the age, I think, ages of 18 to 40. And I think that is why there's a lot of focus on the youth at this time and age. It is because of their population. It is not because of any other thing. But I think just to add on to something, the reason as to why we are saying that going forward, a lot may change about the faces that we may have in our parliament and our county assemblies is because when we were crossing over from the 2017 general election, the Jubilee government has made a lot of promises to the youth. Actually, if you have had a look at the Jubilee manifesto, in 2017, it was 60% about youth and youth interest. But for the past 5 years, we have come across scenarios whereby those who have retired from public offices who are being named or given positions related to board chairpersons, board membership and all that. We have seen retired military generals who are now called back and given crucial dockets. That tells you that the kind of government that we have had for the past 5 years, it has really forgotten about the youth as a population. And I think at this time, let us not allow that we only remember for political convenience. Let us ensure that we only make decisions that shall be in our interest in the subsequent 5 years.
I think as youth, we gave these politicians the chance to take advantage of us. We have certain leaders in our country who took advantage of the patriotism of this youth. We'll have certain leaders who like to think that at the last minute, you know what, I failed to give this youth whatever they wanted, but if I mention that I can give them something better at the last minute, I'll have their votes. And I think from the age of 18 to 20, we're a bit naive, or even 23, we're a bit naive. We choose politicians or we choose leaders on terms of emotions, on terms of tribals, on terms of what they're giving to us at that minute or some stipend. But from 25, and that is why right now it also relates to the apathy voters, from 25 to 35 to 40, that is the age where we realize this leader is not bringing anything to the table. Why am I voting for this person? What am I getting? And that's why you're going to see some of us have placed ourselves on the right tables to make these decisions. So I think right now the reason most of these politicians are trying to involve us is because, you know, we are 75% of the nation. We are the voters, the larger voter population right now. So they need those votes. But right now, I think the youth of this country have decided to channel their patriotism in other places, have decided to channel their patriotism to leaders who are actually effectively involving them from the grassroots. A leader who is either a deputy president or a party leader who is going to pick your call in the middle of the night and tell you, you know what, I've had your issue, I'm going to see what I can resolve about. A leader who doesn't practice nepotism. Funny to say, people think there are no such leaders, but I can tell you for a fact we have those kind of leaders in this country. So when Lydia said that the president has come out and is trying to explain to the youth, you know what, I was out there working for you. We did not need you to work for us. We needed you to put us on the boardrooms. We needed you to put us on the places where we can work for ourselves.
You had 7 deputy ministers, isn't it?
7 deputy ministers. I don't think that is even half of the population of youth in this country. Honey, I don't think that is even enough of the youth that are jobless in this country. We did not need him to put us in cabinet secretaries. We needed him to make employment effective. We needed him to create...
young people on the table.
He wanted. That is a difference. He did not. There's a difference. The Jubilee government failed the youth of this country. It's a time for the people of this country and the youth of this country to decide which president or which leader is going to give them.
And what she's talking into is inclusion, which is what Bashir was also, alluding to earlier in terms of inclusion of youth in policy, in terms of this decision-making processes, which is, I think, where Amira is coming from, that yes, the president has reached out to the youth and has, in fact, said that this is for you and this is to create pathways for you to develop. However, how many were actually involved in this conversation? Were the youth represented at all?
First of all, so let me first correct the erroneous assertion that the president has failed young people. The president has not failed young people. The president appointed deputy ministers into his government, which is the highest level of service we've seen very young generation really get positions to serve. Secondly, the programs that have been run by this government have been exponentially transformational to the young people we've been able to target. Talk about the Ajira Online, Ajira Digital program that is run from the Ministry of ICT, where 1.something million young people have been able to get jobs online, and they're actively earning a living right now on that platform. There's the Kenya Youth Empowerment and Opportunities Project, the National Youth Service Program, the Kazi kwa Vijana, the Kazi Mtaani, which was a response to the young people who fell out of the job market when we had the COVID pandemic, again demonstrating the presence of mind the president has with regards to young people. But the issue of unemployment, first of all, was not created by this government. You understand? There's a surge, there's a bulge happening where there's a huge population of young people who are getting into the job market. And certainly our economy has not expanded in a big enough way to accommodate all of them. And so therefore, over the years, there's been some sense of a backlog, of about 500,000 young people who are not able to be absorbed. This is a consequence of the passage of time. It is not a consequence of the failure of Jubilee. But what has the president done in response to this surge? He's saying we need to lay the foundations to expand the economy, because there is no other solution to this unemployment issue. You have got to expand the economy. How do you expand the economy? You expand the economy by laying the infrastructure that is required for somebody like yourself, Lillian, to go and set up a cottage industry in Nanyuki. How are you going to do that in Nanyuki if you don't have a road,
Bashir,
if you don't have electricity?
Yeah, Bashir, I'll get your thoughts on this as we take a break.
I think I may or may not agree on a number of things. In terms of whether or not there's a problem that has been created by Jubilee, that's a different question altogether. This is a problem that was subsisting indeed. Youth unemployment was there before the Jubilee government, but the big question is, what has the Jubilee government done about it? And I think it has done little, if any. That is the only problem. So the only, I think, thing that we need to look at is, now that we have gone through that dark past, how do we now look into the future? How do we change things?